British Columbia. She has business cards for us. And this is her second time here with the residency program. Last year she stayed in Chapala. And she's been here. She's here for 2 weeks, I think. 3 weeks.
I can't hold this. Could you move these drinks so I can set it down?
There was an exhibition today by her, yes. Yeah, that was of all local artists. Yeah, it was definitely Chapala Society. Okay, good. All right, rock and roll.
It's interesting what happens to an artist. A month ago, I was opening a solo exhibition on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, which is about 4 hours north of Seattle, if you can't figure it in the brain. And I was in the cellar of a vintage home, and that's where the gallery is. And here I am on the rooftop in Mexico a month later. I brought these little catalogs for my solo exhibition, and you're welcome to them. I believe Bethany wants to, I think they're 100 pesos each. Anyways, textiles. When I was about 5 years old, I went to kindergarten in the afternoon, but in the morning, my mother had to put up with me. So, to shut me up, she put me in the corner of the kitchen, put a thimble on my finger, and said, stitch. And we used to stitch the old Robin Hood flour sacks. We'd bleach out Robin Hood the pattern. Oh, I see some of you nodding. And then we would make these flour sacks into the tea towels, into the pillowcases. I'm a war baby. We didn't have much. And then, as the middle of 3 girls, all my petticoats were made out of flour sacks. And so I think I've had an affair with Robin Hood's tie. But I started to stitch the days of the week and embroider little flowers and things on these. And it continued throughout my life. But I never started stitching for a profession until I was 60. I had to raise a family and do a million other things. And always a needle on my hand, but never anything professionally or whatever. So I went back to university and did 4 years in design, embroidery, and really did what I wanted to, which was never follow a pattern. So what I do is mark make. I just make marks. And in this catalog you will see, and later I can show you on my laptop there, this piece, which is one of a series that I did. I did a series, of 40 pieces. Most of them were the full size of a blanket, okay? And they were all old blankets. The show was called Blanket Statement, No Shame in Patches. And that exhibition went across Canada. But this piece came after that exhibition of 40 pieces. And it was through the American Studio Art Quilt Association that I entered this contest. 300 people entered, 30 made it, 2 from Canada. So I was pretty proud. It was 5 months hanging in the Textile Museum in Washington, D.C. And when I say I'm a mark maker, when you look at that, and as I say, I will show it to you on the laptop after, that there's 20,000 marks on that piece. What I did was, the theme was diaspora, or diaspora. So I took the 20,000 Japanese Canadians that were interned during the Second World War and sent to internment camps. And so there's a mark for each one of them. It's a very moving piece. It's a full blanket sliced into 8 pieces, and it's about, well, it can hang about 8 feet square. So it's quite an interesting piece. Anyways, little marks I make also, just little pieces. I just brought some little bits to show you that what you can do. And what I'm doing is called slow stitching. Apparently slow stitching is now in vogue. That's all I've ever done. I have a sewing machine, a very fancy one, and sometimes it'll sew a seam, but not really. I like to work by hand. All my work is by hand. And anyways, a few years ago, some famous chef decided that we'll have slow cooking. everybody started to grow vegetables and learn how to cook again. I didn't know you had to learn it again, but anyways, I thought when you were old enough to reach the stove, you cooked. But, so, slow stitching is in, and this is what we do. This, when I get it home, will be matted and framed, and it'll be online for sale. But it's all just marks. It's just marks. It's stitches. So they're very interesting, I think, because when I do the small ones, I can use the good silks and the good linens and get right into it. But my work takes 6 months to design and 6 months to do. I'm slow. But you can't go in and out, in and out. I used to work 6 hours a week, or 6 hours a day, but I went and had a stroke 3 years ago, so I'm down to 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes, and then I've worked up down a little more. This is a piece that's going in an exhibition in a couple of months. I hand dye most of my fabric with, this one I think I did with walnuts and with tea. And this is going to be wind. I'm trying to determine, what does wind look like? What does air look like? So, does that work for you, Sue? Yeah.
Gloria, could I jump in with a
Sure.
question? I associate mark making as in painting, but could you, for those who don't really know what mark making means?
It's just a stitch. It's just one stitch. It's a mark, is what I feel.
Okay.
I have one on my laptop there that is painted first. It was depicting fire. And then I painted black marks, just like stitches for the burning of the trees. I live in a forest. I live in a rainforest. And then I stitched each of the marks. So marks are just one stitch or whatever.
Thank you.
Yeah. And this one I'm working on. I don't know which way's up. That's another thing about my work. I had to stop signing it because people would buy it and want to hang it upside down. So, and that's fine with me. It works any way you like it.
Yeah.
So this one I was hoping to inspire spirit. So this was indigo dyed. Some of you remember tie-dyeing. It's sort of just like tie-dyeing, but not quite. But each thing is done by hand. And
What's that one called?
this one is spirit.
Spirit. Nice.
Yeah. So
And is that for a show coming up?
that one and this one. This is spirit and this is air. And I have a show in July in the Okanagan in BC with another lady. And we were doing the 5 elements. We did actually in Chapella last year. I did water, and then earth, fire. What's next? Air. And the 5th spirit is the 5th element is spirit. So, and then I've started on a series of using old tablecloths. Not sure where that came from. Again, it just talks to you and does it as an artist. As Val said, it's just something that comes inside of you. You don't know why. Anyways, I had a large damask tablecloth, and a friend of mine had a walnut tree, so we boiled up the walnuts, threw the tablecloth in it. We got this lovely soft shade. A bit like this piece here. I think that's part of the damask tablecloth. And then we cut another old cotton tablecloth, dyed it with tea and put it on top and stitched it. So that one is finished. And then this one, I wanted something moody. So this was a piece of drapery lining. I recycle everything. And this was the center out of one of those, remember those tablecloths we all had in the 60s and 70s? So I rusted it and thrown it in with some metals to get some color into it. And then I started to stitch. But I've been watching the 2 painters next to me all the last couple of weeks. And they go into their studio in the morning and they come out with something wonderful. And I'm maybe 1.5 inches further along.
That's small.
So,
So what on that, have you,
I don't know, it's moody. We can name it.
have you done all the stitching all the way around the end and every, like what on there have you done?
All of them. I mean, okay, this outing edge was done. There's a row here that's completed. This one's completed. And I started in on these when I arrived 2 weeks ago. You can see how far I've gone.
Did you do it in that order?
Yeah, I did the outside to hold it down.
Yeah,
I sort of basted it just to hold it.
yeah.
Did that one, then this one. I think I did this. Then I went back and did this. But it'll be completely covered when I'm finished.
We do stuff out here too?
Oh yeah, the whole thing. Every thread will be covered with another thread.
Can we see the back?
Sure. My English teacher used to say, I love to see the journey of the threads.
Gloria, to me that has a First Nations.
Could be. I live a lot with Native people, on the island.
It looks like a skin, and then those are knife marks.
Well, I'm an old moose hunter. Maybe it's like a hide when I skin them, you know.
Yeah, it's extraordinary.
Every time you say something, it's fascinating.
Well, that piece that I showed you that was in Washington, D.C., the front of it is an old blanket. The back of it is moose hide from a moose that I shot. And tanned, and I thought it showed the strength of the Japanese people as they survived in internment camp. So, yeah. So that's what I do is slowly stitch.
I'm sorry, I just want to say, I can't get a picture right now, but the edge on the outside kind of somehow reminds me of the version of Guadalupe. She's always in that.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's
the
interesting.
first, circle.
Oh, you're welcome to take it.
Yeah. Which way does it go?
I haven't decided yet. It hasn't talked to me. So I don't know if it'll be a tablecloth, a wall hanging, or
Here, come out front so she can take a picture of it. And hold it.
Wow. Do you feel that too, Sue?
Yeah, definitely.
In,
but I like to rust things. I throw things in buckets, and as I say, I'm always dyeing or doing tea, coffee, and like there's a hole here, so I would darn that beautifully and leave the darn show. I think it's very important to leave the flaws in, just like humanity.
Well, that's a Japanese thing too, right?
Oh, yeah.
What's that thing called?
Wasabi.
There's symbols
Huh?
in there.
Yeah, the pottery that they.
Yeah, I've done a lot of Japanese boro, which you'll see in some of the catalogs. I've spent three times residencies working in Japan. I was hired to go over. So, love the country. Love it here too, I've enjoyed it. So, what else can I say?
Does anyone have questions?
after the props, will they be on display where we can look and see?
Sure, I'll leave them out.
I don't know what room Pam made.
Huh? I'm sorry?
Not sure if Pamela made those.
Oh, table dots.
We'll get them out of the way while Pam does it.
Yeah, well, Tim's talking. And if you want to buy one of her little catalogs, they're 100 pesos.
And these are for sale too, the small ones that are finished. They just need to be mounted. And, I have a city scale too. Oh, what are they?
It does.
What's 195 pesos?
195.
Today.
190. I don't know. I'll do math. I don't know my phone.
I did it, now I forgot. I'm trying very hard.
This one's just lovely.
That one's finished, it just needs.
Very really stunning.
Slow stitching.
So much
Going
work.
on a rod? Are these
Some of them do, yeah, that one probably would go on a rod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stunning.
A nice black rod. would go
Yeah.
on some.
Iron would be very interesting.
Yes. I'm in the Couch and Daly in our North Victoria, in wine country.
Gloria, do you have to use a magnifying?
Never, no, I use good lighting
Okay.
and not magnifying glasses. So, yeah, and a thimble, I left it in the room. Thank you very much.